And I'm going to turn this one on as well. So for our first panelist is Leandra Hale. If you haven't met her, she's the vice president of the club. And she keeps bees at what elevations?
Mount Occam, 2100, and then Lake Tahoe, 6300.
So if you guys are in that range of elevation, why don't you just raise your hand if you are? Anybody up there at the 3,000 footish, 24, 3,000?
24, down to 21. Anyone to 21? No.
Okay.
2,000 feet. You're at 21? 2,000? You're at 26?
Yeah, he's right next to me, so.
You're at 26? So you're probably saying some of what I'm saying. Okay. So is this on?
Yeah, should be a blue light on.
Tester. Okay. So my name is Leandra Hale. I've been beekeeping for 5 years. I'm currently managing 18 colonies. Is it recording?
I wonder if you could scooch. Make sure you scoot to the left a little bit.
YouTube is just your lower. Okay. Here we go again. All right. So I'm currently managing 18 colonies in Langstroth hives. My main apiary is located in Mount Occam at 2,100 feet in elevation. I also move my hive seasonally. So I move my hive seasonally. I'll bring some up to South Lake Tahoe region. That's around 6,300 feet where my house is up there. This year, I'll be transporting those hives on June the 29th. In Tahoe, we are witnessing regular honeybee action, obviously not out of my hives, but we are seeing them at some of the other Fawn Leaf Lake and just around the area. Obviously, there is some native bees up there, and there are some beekeepers that are up there full time. So they do make it through the snow, believe it or not. So current conditions in Mount Occam. In my Mount Occam apiary, all of my double colonies are fully built out. They're fully built out. They're starting to fill up all of the honey supers. And all of my single deeps and splits are getting ready for their second boxes to be added. Is everybody experiencing that same thing right now? You are? Has everyone else started adding second boxes? You too? Okay. So I've observed, so far I've observed one colony requeen itself successfully out of my 18 hives. One chose to go ahead and requeen itself. It requeened, it superseded the queen. So I went in there last week. We had 4 virgin queens running around piping at each other, getting ready for a battle royal. And I had 3 queen cells in there. I use a lot of natural frames, so I was able to pull the queen cells off of that natural frame, just cut it right out of the natural wax and add it into another hive. I was able to do an additional split with that hive, pulling another virgin queen out of that hive, making an additional hive out of that. It was not intended, but the opportunity did arise, so I went ahead and did that split and then pulled those cells out of there. Besides that, that's the only colony I saw that tried to requeen itself or lost its queen at that time. So I haven't witnessed any swarms in that apiary or around that site. Has anybody experienced any swarms yet through their own apiary? Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw your swarm. Yeah, you swarmed. That swarm swarmed right in front of us. Oh, did it? Okay. Yeah, we were teaching a class and right in front of everybody, the swarm swarmed. It's just, you were right there. Yeah, it was just like a tsunami of bees. It was like, oh boy, we know what's happening here. Anybody else, who else had a swarm so far this season? 2 swarm. Was yours from a new colony?
No. So we acquired a hive in Scythia when she moved. And
Nice.
she forewarned us that this is really healthy. It's going to get big come spring.
Yeah.
And we went, okay. And we waited. We went, okay. And we waited. And we went, okay. And we opened up where we kept all of our tools and stuff and went, oh, it's in here. We had a new empty hive. My son did from, it was like December or something.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, at the Bluestone.
Yeah.
And so we had everything to do it. So we just kind of
Amazing.
scooped it out real gentle and got it all put in place, and everything's been locking and rocking. So it kind of did the dirty work for us.
Fantastic. And how amazing you had the actual equipment
That was
ready
the
for it.
blessing. We were like, this could be so bad, but it was like, okay, so we just need to take it from here and move it over here 20 feet. And
You're like, perfect.
Yep.
Right on. Fantastic. Pete, I know you, Peter's, bees just moved to Peter's. He doesn't have to do splits or they're not swarming. They just come join him all the time. How many showed up at your house last week? Yeah. So he just puts his hives out and show up, and then he collects the sweet reward. It is nice. They left you one time. Yes, yes. So they come and go. Yeah. So
We have not old wax, nice wax that's waiting there for them.
Yeah, yeah. They like the vibe. They like the vibe of his property. Everybody move, like the owls, everything moves to his land. It's quite wild. The
It's solid, it's yellow flower, smell, the bees are all over it.
amazing. So this season, you have early manzanita, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So my foraging and bloom update is so in my area, maybe in your area too, I'm not sure. My bees usually start by foraging on the manzanita. My manzanita seems to pop before everything else. So unfortunately this year a cold snap came through. I was so excited. Acres of manzanita bloom. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be an amazing season. Cold snap came, killed all the blooms. It was a depressing situation. Anyways, I did discover that my bees loved royal oak pollen. Has anyone ever experienced this? Royal oak tree pollen. There's scrub oak, royal oak, different types of oak.
Blue and black oak.
What's that?
Blue and black oak.
Blue and black oak. There's tons of
So
different types of oak. They're not all they're not equal in quality either. And so the royal oak, I had no idea, but I was standing on my land, and I started hearing this huge buzz, and I was thinking, oh my God, I got a swarm. What the hell? And no, it wasn't a swarm. There was literally thousands of bees on my royal oak collecting the pollen. And so I went down to my apiary to check on what the heck they were doing. Like, are they really collecting the royal oak pollen? And all of them, all 18, they all had pollen pants on. They were all collecting the royal oak pollen. I don't believe.
No, but it's a good early season pollen source.
Yeah, so even though the manzanita blooms went down, they directly found their next source, and so that was the royal oak. And so that's what I had discovered. Currently in bloom, I have my blackberries are popping. Blackberries are just going crazy. Does anybody else in here have blackberries going on? Fantastic. We're blessed. Okay. So I expect any colonies that are down into that single box to be ready. The blackberry nectar flow is on. If you have blackberries in your area, don't sleep on it. It's going to come quick. They're going to build up that wax fast. They're going to start filling in that nectar. If you don't pay attention, you may lose your opportunity to have a sweet reward, or you can also have a honey locked hive, and you don't want that either. And that's basically when your bees are bringing in more honey than they have room, and the queen doesn't have enough space to lay. And so now you've got a honey locked hive, and you've kind of messed up your opportunity to fill that super up with honey. And so make sure and pay attention to that just this one time, obviously during the blackberry season, if they're prolific in your area. I also, of course, have dandelions popping in my area, and I have wildflowers. does anybody have any other specific type of flower or tree that their bees are foraging on right now?
We have I would like to say pomegranate bush, but it literally is a tree. It's
Okay.
huge and it is nuts. Every time we walk by it, it's covered in bees, like little Pomegranateville.
Okay, fantastic. They found a good source. All right. So, oh, it smells so good. Yeah. What's in your area, Jim?
So, blackberry right now big, catalpas, which are starting to bloom. Another big tree, big flowering tree that everything loves, hummingbirds, everything else. The tulip poplars too are kind of in that same time frame. And I know you had something that mock orange that is about what 15 feet high. That's something I'm very jealous of. But there's a few flowering trees besides blackberry that are going at the 2,400-foot level.
Fantastic. So my temperature in Mount Auckham, it's been around 80s in the 90s. We're heading into the 90s now, guys. And definitely make sure you're getting your bees your water and keeping them hydrated. We're watching the water sources dry up pretty quickly. So definitely make sure and follow up with that. Another thing that I'm noticing is that some of my stronger colonies are already starting to kick out their drones. I'm watching them push and kick out their drones. They're pulling out their drones. And so you will notice that maybe in your area. I'm not sure. So that's what I'm noticing in my immediate apiary in the Mount Auckham area. I did also want to talk to you guys real quick about some of my mite washes and what's happening with my mite counts out there in my apiary. So has everybody or anybody done any mite washes yet this season?
You have what we all get Randy's genetics for, I bet. There's some people that have gone through a season without, like Amanda, you went through a season? Yeah, so there's the holy grail of the genetics that we're after. That's hopefully what maybe in 5 years what we'll see pretty regularly. But unfortunately, I have not seen that in the hives that I manage. So you're lucky.
Well, that is that's great. So I started my mite washes. I got my mite washes done, and I kind of want to give you guys some breakdowns of what I experienced here. So I've completed my first round of mite washes on my 18 colonies. All of my colonies are currently below that 3% infestation rate and our threshold. That is under 9 mites per 300, guys. Okay. Is a 3%. So the highest count so far in these hives has been a 6 mite count. Okay. All of my splits that were tested are under a 1% threshold. Okay. Now, when you do a split, what are you doing? You're creating a brood break immediately. You split your colonies. One colony is going to have to requeen. At that time, as they're requeening, your queen's going to take 16 days for them to make that cell. They're going to take at least 5 days to get orientated into that new hive. Then she's got to go take her mating flight. Then it's going to take a few additional days for her to come back and actually lay. As you are giving them that brood break, it's a natural way, a natural IPM break to help control those mites. So all of my splits were under that 1%. And that was across the board. And what's amazing is that was across the board last year too. So I'm feeling pretty confident about this method of my IPM plan right now. Because it's showing that every year when that happens, my splits are consistently with that low number. So requeening. This year, I did some requeening with actual cells from Eric Oliver. Normally, I would split my colonies and have them requeen themselves. So all my colonies that I requeened with a queen cell, they were given a very small brood break. Okay, they didn't get their full 25-day brood break. They got a very small one. They got about 3 days before I introduced the cell. The cell took about 2 days to hatch. Then she went and got mated. So we're about 10, 11, 12 days out, maybe 15 before she came back, started laying again, and got back to work. All of those hives were about a 2%. So about 1% more when introducing that cell instead of them making their own. So I'm seeing immediate differences with the split, the brood breaks, and those colonies that have been left without split. And so I felt like I really needed to share that with you guys. So my double deep colonies are about to receive their brood break after this nectar flow. I'm going to let all of my stronger colonies go through this whole nectar flow to the very, very end, and then I'm going to isolate those queens with queen isolation cups. They're not going to be getting split. I'm going to isolate those queens for about 21 days in the hive to allow those that brood break to happen, and then I'll release her and they'll be back into action right during the dearth, which won't be fun for them. But that is what I'm doing. So that is, at that point, I'm going to test again. We'll see where my mite counts are after doing that brood break. And I rotate this integrated pest management strategy throughout the season. So a couple challenges that I faced so far this year. Now, let's be real. There is a plethora of challenges we face as beekeepers. Everything from managing our colony to becoming woodworkers to becoming mite treaters to every single thing else. So there's many problems. I do encourage you guys not to connect to the problems and not to be an emotional beekeeper. It will be a very long season. Oh boy. It's almost inevitable the first year. It's almost inevitable to be emotional. You know, maybe you squish your queen, you're gonna be upset. Maybe she just disappeared, you don't know what happened. Maybe you didn't check your hive and all of a sudden you got laying workers. Yep, there's lots of things that go down. So my challenges right now that I face, I have one colony that is continually rejecting cells. It's continually not made queens. Every time I add a frame, 2 days ago, I added 2 new queen cells and another frame. I'll let you guys know how it goes. I don't know why. They will not do it. I have one other colony. This is my fault that I have left an aging queen in. I haven't had the heart to pinch her. Queen Sophia. And she's really puttering out. And do know your older queens, it's real. They are not going to lay as well. If you choose to keep an older queen going into winter, do not expect your colony to come out of winter thriving. It's still going to come out of winter weak. So requeening in the fall is also something that can be done. And consider that if you have a weaker colony there at the end of this season. So final thoughts. Right now it's go time in the apiary. Colonies are building fast. The nectar flow is strong. Please try to do weekly inspections, especially if you're a new beekeeper. It's important to know what the heck is going on in your hive. Second year, you could start slacking. Third year, you kind of know your routine. You're kind of getting into it. You understand, okay, we're heading into June. What's next? But it's important. It's important to make sure that you're checking these guys weekly. My 2 reminders is that if you cannot find your queen during the inspection, this is not her, this isn't the end. She's not dead. You just haven't found your queen during the inspection. But what is important, and especially as a new beekeeper, is that you find eggs or pips, larvae. Pips, eggs is the same thing, and fresh larvae. It's very important. If you go through your first inspections after getting your nukes and you don't see that, look again, because the last thing you want is your hive to turning to laying workers. You've gone through all this work. So make sure, as you're going into this, you don't find your queen, no big deal. Find those eggs, find those pips. Where are they going to be? They're going to be in the middle of the nest, most likely. Inside of your hive, you're going to find if it's a single box, you're going to find a half, kind of a, sort of like a basketball shape in there, half of a basketball. She should be somewhere in those middle frames. So no matter what, find those eggs. It's especially important. If you haven't checked your hive since your nuke installation, please do. And then if you're scared, if you're nervous, or if you need help, reach out to any of the mentors. Anybody will help you do that.
You don't want to find two eggs in the same cell.
Yes, you do not want to find two eggs in the same cell. You want one single egg per cell. Yep. You have a laying worker.
Who's learning how to.
Yeah, sometimes
Yes.
they take it.
Yeah. Yes, unless it's a brand new queen. All right. Besides that, yeah, be persistent. Be persistent. Don't let the problem evolve into a problem. Beekeeping really is about integrating yourself into the system, making sure that you stop the problems before they happen. It's super important. So what I did is I made everybody mite wash cups to gift to you guys. So make sure and see me before you leave today to get your mite wash cup. I want to make sure that we promote good mite washing and good bee husbandry. So that's it.
So I'm sure I've got, just go ahead and have a seat, Leandra. So we're missing our, Keith was going to be our third panelist, and if you've passed Intel on the right, going westbound on the right-hand side by Intel, he manages those hives that are on that land. And he's typically works between the valley floor and up to about 1,500 feet. So unfortunately, we don't have Keith here to talk about what's going on down there, but so I'll skip to myself because it just so happens I did beekeeping in Folsom for probably 15, 20 years. So yeah. So I'll talk about what I'm seeing. I've seen a lot of the same things that Leandra does see. And before I say that, I should say the number of hives I have right now, it's 42. So I'm going to keep up to the 40. I'm going to keep up the hive 49, but not 50 because that's the commercial tier. So once you're above 50, you'll be regulated as a commercial beekeeper. So I try to stop at 49. I'm a sideliner, considered a sideliner honeybee a beekeeper. So I produce mainly honey. I produce some queens, and it's just my retirement side gig besides this club. So so that's my operation. I have a yard at Fog Dog Farms, which is right next to Wakamatsu. And then my home yard is above Placerville off of Newtown Road, 2,400 feet approximately. So between those two different elevations, you wouldn't think there would be that much difference, but there is. There's usually 2.5 weeks difference between the bloom progression down at 1,500 feet and up at 2,400 feet. So that's why we tried to gather panel members across the major beekeeping zones of our county, because our county goes from zero, pretty much sea level to 6,500 feet. So there's a lot of difference in between those elevations. So that's kind of what my operation is about. What I'm seeing in my colonies, basically the same thing that Leandra's iterated. They are filling everything up with nectar super fast. So now up to now you may have picked up the frame and saw, you got a lot of yellow pollen, scattered orange pollen in there. Now it's turning gray, all that dull olive gray, and that's all blackberry pollen. So if you see that and a lot of nectar flow, I mean, the minute the bloom starts, it seems like there's lots of shake coming out of the frame. When I say shake, it's you tip the frame up and it's just dripping down out of the frame during your inspection. So that's a lot of the activity I'm seeing now. The problem with all this nectar income, it's great for drawing frames, but once they've got their frames drawn, then they're going to store all this nectar. So I have to start extracting honey just to make room for the queen to lay eggs. So becoming honey bound at this time of year is a problem this year, I think, for you. So watch out for your laying space. If you had the option to remove frames that are plugged up with honey and replacing with other frames and putting some in storage, if you don't have time to extract, you might want to consider doing that because right now they will draw out frames and they will store nectar like crazy.
Do you do them in the fridge?
Yeah, that's if you've got the option, got an extra fridge, that's a great place to keep it. So it, um, if you shuffle, if you take out one, like she's talking about the outside frames 1 and 10, you could remove those and replace them with other frames, or you may even want to choose to put them in closer. But you could, a lot of people, their honey production is to take the outside frames out, store them, and put other frames back in. That's a pretty common practice.
Spin 'em too.
Yeah, and
Just spin them and put it right back into the hive and they will just refill them for you.
yeah. So that's why that I'm seeing lots of nectar income in the hives. And then with that, the brood rearing kind of ticks down because you're losing brood nests too. So it's all a really good time to start getting really serious about your mite washes as well. To start getting a handle on that mite population in your colony. So if your colony is in, we're right about here. So you got Buckeye and Blackberry Toy on. This is about the peak of your colony. So the last major honey flow, the heat will start ticking up after this, and then your population will go in decline. So the Varroa population kind of mirrors this curve on a lower level, and then it keeps on going up. So once brood population ticks down, the mite population starts really climbing in the colony. So you've got to get really serious about controlling your mite population. So I don't know if you guys, if you are at 20 feet or 6,500 feet, this is a pretty good chart for this area. This is like, I would say, this and the mite model, probably Randy Oliver's crowning achievements as far as his work. We'll just see it as we go up in elevation, this curve just shifts to the right. You know, it happens later in the year, but it's pretty representative of this area in California. And I have to throw this out. I should have said it in the beginning, but we had a lot of speakers from Pennsylvania, Upper Washington, Calgary. We start having speakers from all over in the country, and we forget to talk about what's going on here in Dorado County. So that's why we did this. Yes, sir. Yeah, this is Randy Oliver's. Yeah, it's 28, 3,000. Yeah. So that's the reason why we want to have a panel and talk a little bit about what's going on or what you're seeing around here. So that's my background. That's what I'm seeing. And at this point, if we would like to have open this up for Q&A, we could take questions and see what you're experiencing. Yes, ma'am.
I moved from here I was at 2,400 feet down to, I'm at the Sacramento River. So I'm at sea level, I guess. And the difference, I was shocked and stumbled my way through the first couple months because of the difference. We started seeing swarms in February, early February. And we're now seeing, a lot of the things that are blooming here are done, so I imagine that we'll be going into dearth pretty soon. But there's a lot of where I live, it's not rural. So there's a lot of, gardens and stuff around. And, like Tuesday, I'm getting my native pollinator garden put in instead of having a lawn. There's also a lot of people with lawns in that area because the place was built up in the 50s. And so everybody had lawns, but, so yeah, it is definitely, I was just, and it gets, we've already hit 102, 105, a week and a half ago. So, everybody talks about insulating for the heat up there, which I've done even though I was living up here, and that's been very successful.
So a great point in that we talk a lot about rural beekeeping. We're all kind of slanted for the most part. We're on kind of rural environments, but it's a very different animal than urban beekeeping. So in urban beekeeping, you have lots of people, maybe, I forget what it is, less than quarter acre spacing. And they've all got gardens and they've all got irrigation. So I know that when I lived in Folsom, we had things that won't grow up at 2,400 feet, like eucalyptus trees, blooming at like in January, great times of the year when nothing else is blooming. So in the urban environments are a lot easier, I think, to keep bees in than the rural environment. So in the rural environment, we're totally dependent on these blooms like this. No matter how many acres of orchard you have, your orchard comes in at a certain time and it's done. We're dependent on all of the surrounding country, 3 miles around for forage for your bees. So that's why you got to keep that in mind when we're talking. That's why we're so worried about the bloom, is that a lot of us are coming from the rural side of things.
The benefit of the benefit of the rural is that we're not worried about the spray.
Yeah.
About the what?
Sorry, what were you going to say? About sprays.
Oh, yeah, that's a big problem.
Mhm.
Oh, go on.
You've got one online. They're asking if it would be possible to get a mite wash tray, picking it up at the fair Friday afternoon. Just asking on Zoom if it'd be possible to get a mite
Who's
wash.
going to be there Friday?
We will. Yeah. Or
Yes.
yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
Is there anybody here? I'm in this area and I have 11 acres. Mostly it's blackberry, just wild, but I'm in the middle of starting to propagate things. And one of my goals is to have about a half acre or more of just bee wildflowers. Does anybody else have that? My plan is to irrigate it, spray, sprinkle, irrigate it. Has anybody done that with success?
I did that when I was at 2,400 feet when I was living in Placerville.
And I gave them enough that helped me through the dirt, or did you still
It helped them, but they still,
have to feed her?
yeah, in fact, the people who bought our house tell me that there's still a lot of bees that hang out in the backyard. So, I'm sure there were swarms that I didn't see and they're now feral, so yeah, but it does help.
Yep.
I don't know about persuasion.
Diversity of pollen is always really good. So, for instance, our apiary is right across the trail from Sherwood Demonstration Garden, and they grow a ton of trees and plants and different things, and they're irrigating, of course, there. Those bees do really well because they have a diversity of pollen. So the other part of rural beekeeping is that we have, you'll see this in your hives. You know when the blackberry flow starts. You pull a frame and it's all that yellow pollen and orange, maybe some little bit of purple has been replaced by gray. So it's almost like a monocrop type of situation. I operate a yard at Fog Dog Farms, which is an organic farm, and they irrigate. And they let a lot of things bloom, and they have some cover crop. They always have cover crop going. There's also a high diversity of pollen in there. So those two places in my mind are come to me as the bees are very healthy there as far as their food source.
Their gut biome is diverse and keeps them
Mhm.
healthy.
Yeah, so those are really good points. So if you're kind of, semi-urban, El Dorado Hills, Shingle Springs or whatever, keep that in mind when you're talking with us, because a lot of us are coming from the rural areas. So it's a different animal. Yes, ma'am.
That's kind of where I'm at right around here. Very much irrigation, like lots of flowers. Everybody's got their flowers in their gardens and stuff. I guess my concern is, can my hive just grow too fast for me, or will it, like, I don't want to have 45 boxes. I would like.
Yeah. So, yeah. So you'll hear different philosophies from us. Like I'm the person that like, hey, I put bees in everything that I can in the spring, because by fall, my hive numbers are going, if you laid this curve over my hive numbers, it's going to look a lot like this, because in fall we start combining hives. So, and I even go so far to say, like, I'm going to be doing some combines already just to handle the plugging, uh, the plug out of nectar. But also I have some hives that are in singles, and I want to get them up to double strength and get honey supers on them now. So this is a situation where I'm going to combine. So there are other techniques that you could use to keep them from splitting, but like Leandra is saying, and we say, I probably said it a dozen times, and here's, we do a split, you do an equal split, you've taken half of the mite load away and not used chemicals. That's a good IPM practice. There's nothing in the world that says you can't come back in the fall and put those things back to those hives back together. And that happens a lot. It's better to have strong colonies go through winter, because you're just going to end up splitting them in spring, and then trying to nurse a marginal colony through winter and having it fail.
So if my box gets so big and my super is all filled out, I could do a split and give it to somebody to combine and kind of.
Yeah, that would.
You could gift them to another beekeeper here in town. You could pinch your queen and recombine it back like Jim does.
My Bailey bee. She's I named her Bailey.
Nice. It's a great name.
But she's new. But I'm really concerned because my box is like filling up. I gotta get my super up.
Is to start stacking.
Is it a D10 frame?
Yeah, no, I've got
20
'cause
frames.
we-
I
yeah.
can't remember if it's an 8 frame or a 10 frame,
Well, you
but
know what,
deeps.
you're right, 8, because
Here's
I
a
put
two.
the little feeder
Mhm.
Okay.
thing, and I have a drill tray that I'm trying to.
You will be
figure out.
blessed if your colony is that big. Be like, yes. At the worst, split it into two, combine it back.
Well,
At the best, you gift it to
That's what I want.
another
do
beekeeper.
you have one box right now only,
I have
or 2 boxes?
2 boxes high,
Um,
but the
9
bottom's got
boxes,
8 frames, yeah,
Mhm.
and then the top's got 10. It's not
But-
all the way,
so there are 2
But
boxes
one
right now.
colony,
one colony.
yeah.
One hive, are they both deep box?
Yes.
Okay.
Extra.
It's important in all of the detail,
Yeah.
because if they're talking about splitting, then you end up with 2 boxes with 10 frames in each eventually. That's, or you put it back
Yeah.
together and you have 20 frames.
Or by the end of the season, as they dwindle down, they'll dwindle down, so you actually only have 10
With what
frames.
you're trying to do, you should go get some therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And I think
having-
that we all are therapists here. Like you can talk to anybody,
yeah.
we'll be therapists.
Also, it's probably good to have more than one box because you can rescue one box with the resources from the other. Rescue one hive, yeah.
One
So-
thing also that I try to keep in mind too is judging, from your neighborhood size and how many people around you are beekeepers. If you have, like, let's say Jim had all of his hives in his house. His neighbor Chuck might get mad because there's so many bees. You really need to be aware of how many bees potentially could do well. If you start seeing like a decline in population, like I went from 8 hives in the foothills on 7.5 acres. To 3 on my 1/3 of an acre in the middle of Sacramento. So it really depends, right? And then now I've got 4 again. I just gave one to Jim because I had 5. And I'm like, I don't want those. I don't want more than 3.
So how many hives, I'm gonna go through real quick. How many hives do you guys have?
4.
Nice. Debbie? You
0.
got-
That's
You
what
got the big fish here.
Bring up just the north.
What was your name? I'm so sorry.
JC.
JC, nice to meet
I'm an
you.
East Coast beekeeper trying to learn all this.
Yeah.
The dearth, I lost 2 hives last year because what the hell's a dearth?
Yeah, you're like, I've never
So-
experienced this.
So when Stephen was talking about goldenrod flow in September, that's what you used to experience.
Oh, yeah.
So we have star thistle and that's about it. And it's not a flow.
Yeah, the dearth was a surprise to me. And
Yeah,
I worked with Keith and actually play hockey with Keith too, so
Nice,
I met him before I came here. So
nice.
yeah.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy to
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
Peter?
I have 5 right now.
You have 5. 3 more have adopted you. Sylvia, you're at 4.
And
And what's your name? I
Diana.
guess let's do name and then how many hives you got?
Diana, 1,
1. Potentially 1 right now.
2 boxes.
1, the 1 big hive.
One very, very active, busy look at.
How about you 2?
I'm Shelley, I have 2. My husband Chris, he's along for the ride.
Chris, you kick butt.
He's arm candy.
You are great support.
They keep
You're
their
great support.
financials apart.
Yeah,
Mhm.
finances apart. You got 2? And
That experience.
yes, fantastic.
Amanda too.
Nice,
All 3.
nice,
At one first year.
nice. Matt, how's your colony doing?
I added a second brood box last
Fantastic.
week
Nice.
and I added venting a few days ago. However, I think I added another problem by having robbing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's next.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fine, this is gonna go down.
But they're growing
Okay, good.
massive.
We're gonna come back, let's come back to that robbing in a minute.
Beth, and I'm a pre-beekeeper. I haven't got my bees yet. I'm learning.
You are excellent, though. You've been consistent, and when your bees come to you, you're gonna be excellent.
Hope so.
I guarantee it.
Be friends if you have to get together.
James, and you have 9. James, where are you located?
Eldorado Health Rescue.
Nice, nice. Chuck,
Chuck, 2 top bars and a Langstrom.
nice. You do have a Langstrom. You have a Langstrom?
Give me this spring.
This is almost.
We moved one in
unacceptable. You are the top bar man.
Yeah.
Okay.
that one that was on Craigslist.
No.
Did you wake up and it was in the yard? That's nice. Chris, what are you up to now? You got a new hive, right? You had
4.
you have 4.
Split one.
All right. All we need is 4 more colonies to show up and get your setup full.
Actually, I just bought somebody with an ex beekeeper, so I probably got about 16 on.
All right.
More
We need
than
to-
I have bees.
Yes, Peter, send him over the good juju so the bees start showing up to his boxes here. Yes. And then what are you up to, Sarah?
1.5.
1.5. Fantastic. And how about you?
Let's see, I've got 8 and then I have a partner that's got 7, so we got.
15 together. Fantastic. Do you play in the banjo ever?
Yep, they like it.
Okay. I like it. Fantastic. So next things that are coming up. would
So
be-
that's a good segue because
Yes.
here's where we're at in the flow. And here's where we're heading to. You know, we get to July and August. Once Blackberry kind of dwindles out, guess what? We're in the, you know, we're down here in the star thistle and the dearth area. So the thing to look out for in that time of year, remember, you've got this peak population of bees, and you may have looked at your water sources and they may not be hitting them at all. And then you'll go a week and it's really hot, and all of a sudden your bees are at your water sources and like crazy and everything. And that tells you that they're not getting enough water from nectar intake. So there is a big cue to like get all the cracks in your hives sealed up, reduce entrances, and start looking out for robbing. So if you want to invest in a robbing screen for your colony, that's a good idea around this time of the year. At the end, when Blackberry fails on my hives, I do not have a feeder on them. I don't have any feeders near them. I reduce the entrances, and it's a huge fear for me at this time of year. So
The heat,
So
reduce the entrance even with the heat.
yeah, so the bees are very good at regulating the internals of their colony, as for even in the heat. So for instance, if it's 100 degrees, you don't throw all your windows open for ventilation in your house. That makes your air conditioning have to work 3 times harder in order to control the humidity and the temperature in that space. What I've found, because I've done a little insulation study, is that people that have insulated for heat, they dedicate that, it makes the space, the environment inside the colony much easier to manage. So that I keep mine closed up. So I'm not going to open them cracks, pennies, or anything like that for ventilation, because that just encourages, you'll have robbers hanging on the outside of that hive because they can smell honey inside.
Just during the dearth or always?
I would go so far as say always have your cracks sealed up. Yeah. There's oh, go ahead.
some things that can cause robbing. Unexpected things where you're like, I'm just gonna get them some dang ventilation real quick, and then they smell the honey. Another thing that can create the robbing is while you're doing your inspection, a couple drops of honey hit the table. And somebody, one of the other bees comes by, tastes that honey, they head back over to their colony and they're like, hey, they've got really good honey over there. And next thing you know, you're starting to have to protect your hives. When they decide to rob, they are very persistent. Like, you're not sweet talking them out of this. They have dedicated, they have came back to their crew, they told them, hey, it's robbing time. You literally have to close all your entrances, get a sheet, get a wet sheet, throw it over your hive, do anything to reduce that action, make sure any syrup waters are pulled out of there. Don't ever have your syrup water on the front of your hive. It's such a terrible invention. Whoever invented those front feeders, that was
The Boardman?
stupid.
The Boardman feeders?
God, you're just inviting problems. Not only are you inviting robbers, you're inviting ants and you're inviting every other little thing. So be aware of that. Once the robbing starts, they get mean. Another thing that happens right when the robbing starts is you're going to start noticing your bald-faced hornets, your yellow jacket showing up. It becomes a big blustering robbing problem from all.
You can use your Boardman feeders with water.
Regular water.
fill it
Yeah.
with plain old water and then they can go in and.
Yeah. And I went to even do that and I was like thinking they're side eyeing on the water. So I just don't use them at all now.
Good question.
We haven't had one yet,
Yes.
but, can you describe what that looks like aside
Yeah.
from the yellow jackets and hornets? We would recognize that, but what does a robber bee look like?
So-
How do they act?
Up a video.
So, yeah,
Got a mask. Yeah, well,
they'll
It's got his concealed weapon.
come to the entrance and there's no mistake, there's no mistaking it. They start tussling and fighting. You'll see legs and
Wings.
wings and things on the front of the board. And there's a lot of frantic activity,
because
struggling.
because the locals are fighting.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
you'll literally see your soldier bees line up. I've witnessed on one of my very protective hives, Queen Buzz Lightyear. That my nephew named, her colony is so protective during robbing season that consistently at the entrance, no matter how big my entrance is, I can have the tiny entrance, the large entrance, the whole dang thing open. They will line all up. I have video of it. And they sit defensively.
I've seen that.
Yes, and if anything comes near them, they even check their own bees as their own colonies coming back. And they're literally like, okay, cool, you've got entrance, you're allowed in.
Go through
Uh,
the tellsters.
So they show their real ID and then they're.
Yeah, they show their real ID.
How long do you put, if you have them and you put a wet sheet over them, how long do you leave that there?
Until the
Once you
robbing,
cleaned up all the,
until the robbing stops.
I mean, is that days or is that?
Days.
Yes.
Days and days.
Okay.
But what you can do is to immediately stop it, just throw the wet sheet on and keep it wet. But then get yourself some robbing screens
Mhm.
and start putting them in, and any extra holes you have, like I keep corks, cause I have holes for ventilation in the back end. And I just plug those up.
You'll also notice that the robbers try to come from every side. They literally will try to get in. That may be even the first thing you notice. You walk up to the hive and they're trying to come in from the back cracks. They're trying to come in from the top lid. They're trying to find any dang little crack
Okay.
they can get in.
That's,
Thank you.
I noticed, as soon as I put it on yesterday, I got a A-frame, like a vent, right, that you put on top, and I screwed it on top, so like for my lid, and I immediately noticed bees trying to get into the holes. There's screens on the holes.
Yeah,
But
but they're thinking,
that's weird, because they know where the entrance is.
yes.
And so I thought that was weird, I started looking at that, then I realized,
Are
I
they,
saw the fighting.
are they stinging each other and taking each other to the ground?
I'm gonna look this evening and see how much is in the dead bodies for this.
I have a ton of dead bodies.
You what?
There's a lot of dead bodies in front of my box. I just figured that's life cycle.
Yeah,
But,
you
Or is it
will,
Natural.
okay,
yeah,
but I
that
have seen a little bit of like, yeah.
tussling.
So the inner covers have that little hole in the back, so we should plug them up during the dirt?
I would recommend it.
I put wax in mine.
Um,
The hive vent during that time, you just.
I just leave the bottom entrance open.
The little reducers or.
mhm.
At the smallest hole, to the smallest or the middle?
If robbing's happening, it's at the smallest.
How do robbing screens?
Robbing screens, it basically,
They work by going this way.
Yeah.
Basically, robbers want to come straight in.
Yeah.
And the foragers learn how to go up and out and not fly straight
yeah,
out.
they're
That's
not, like,
their
frantic
function.
like the robbers are like in a frantic state of like, how the heck do I get in?
Okay.
Keep bouncing off screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so in my farmhouse, I have a screen bottom that's 4 inches by almost 4 feet. And the entrance to the hive is a periscope entrance.
Mhm.
So the bees go in, up, and then through holes, go inside. And you'll watch the yellow jackets go underneath to the screen. And other bees, they'll they'll be underneath and they'll look, and I've never had my top bars raw.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
when I did Langstraw, I did the same thing with screen bottoms and a periscope entrance. And I didn't have any problem with robbing with those.
Amazing. That's fantastic.
Okay.
So the periscope entrance on my Langstraw right now, and they propylized it shut.
They didn't like that.
So they're still using the bottom entrance.
So the worst thing about the robbing part, the period, it's worst at the peak population till about 2, maybe 3 weeks out, and then it's not as bad. So if you really want to zone in on a specific time period, look for when the blackberry fails, and then, go a couple weeks out from that. At that period, that's really when robbing's at its peak.
I usually question what I did wrong, to be honest. I usually question, did I leave syrup open? Did I drop honey on the ground? Did I leave a crack of this hive open? Was one of my hives close to being out of reserves and I didn't notice and now they're robbing because they need something? Obviously they do this for no reason as well. This could be of no fault, but usually I do question myself.
Strong colonies important too. Strong colonies can
Yeah,
ward
strong-
off robbing easier
strong
than
colony
weak
is gonna-
ones.
Fight back and
Another thing that I've noticed that I've done, I'm a slow beekeeper. So I don't go through my hives in 15 minutes and I'm done. I've never been able to do that. If you're pulling out all your frames and they're all over the place and you've been in your hive and it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, you will get robbed. So, just do what's minimally necessary during the dearth and be done, because the longer you're in there with the lids off and everything, you're gonna get uninvited guests coming in. That happened to me, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've worked for commercials and they're like, you've been in there 2 minutes.
You're
What
like,
the
"Oh."
blankety blank is, get on with the next one. So,
I cover mine too during dearth when I'm doing my inspection. Sometimes I'll take a piece of canvas and as I'm pulling my frames, that canvas is sitting on top of the rest of the box so that the whole 10 frames aren't exposed. It does a couple things. It makes it so the bees aren't just staring at you and you're smoking them back down. It kind of just keeps them in. It keeps the sun from just blazing down onto that hive as you're going into there. And especially if you're just beginning, it can be overwhelming when the bees are starting to come out at you. I literally have my piece of canvas. I've even had to use kitchen towels where I'm like, oh no, I can't find my canvas. Grab a towel. And I literally, as I'm pulling, I usually work from the left to the right. I stick with whatever order I work from. I'm like pushing my canvas back, grabbing the next frame. So wherever I'm transferring these frames into as I'm doing my inspection, I use an old I use a deep box to put my frames into as I'm inspecting. That I have a bottom board on the bottom sitting on my I have a table that I use sitting on the table, and then I cover that box. Like I'm not just letting it sit open for 20 minutes as I'm doing my inspection. I put the lid on it, and that way it's just not exposed for that whole time. It does a bunch of things. First, it disrupts the bees less. The sun exposure of getting that brood hot as it's sitting there. There's a bunch of benefits I find of doing it that way. And that helps.
okay. So I think we kind of need to wrap up, but any final questions here for the panel? Yes, ma'am.
About mite washing. So I have a very sensitive 13-year-old who doesn't like killing bees, even though it's for the greater good. And we're getting accustomed to that. However, I did see something online about a version of a mite wash that uses powdered sugar.
Right.
Have you heard of this before?
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you done it before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's on par with alcohol. It's
It's not as accurate.
Yeah, so alcohol and ether are like the gold standard since Darwin
Mhm.
for entomologists. So that's why we're going to go to that. You're going to recover the most mites that you can using those materials. So your sugar shake is actually pretty good. It's pretty time intensive too. That's, another consideration. But and then you can go down to, the Dawn dish detergent, other types of windshield washer fluid, those other types of fluids where they don't recover quite as many mites. You want to know what your mite count. I mean, there's a big difference between 6 and 7, or treating or
6 and
not
9 is a
treating.
huge difference.
Yeah, so you want to use the best material.
What- You make them mad, they get mad for a minute, but then they clean the sugar off it themselves and they're fine.
Shake too hard, you're not damaging them, breaking their legs.
If you were really shaking the, like if you were, you're kind of swirling, you're kind of like doing a swirling action versus shaking them.
Yeah.
What I did find is I did a back-to-back. I did a couple back-to-backs, doing powdered sugar versus regular alcohol versus Dawn dish soap. And 100%, there was about, probably a 1% difference of the sugar shake in my experience. The sugar shake, then I took it and did it through that same shake of bees into the alcohol, and I got 3 more mites off of using that alcohol. So they're definitely more efficient using the alcohol, but it is sad to kill 300 bees. I also have to tell myself, yes, you're euthanizing 300 bees, but you are keeping your colony healthy and you're keeping your colony strong, and you're sacrificing for the greater good. It doesn't feel great. It's sad. It's just like pinching a queen. It's heartbreaking.
So if you do a sugar shake, couldn't you lower the threshold for treatment?
That's what I tell when I mentor somebody, if they want to do a sugar shake
Yes.
and they get 6, or
You
they,
lower your threshold.
like, if they get 3 in a sugar shake, I'm like, you probably should treat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just not consistent. It's not enough to say 3% is our threshold. But this beekeeping is a very personal thing. Like you could say my threshold for my powder shakes is 2%. Obviously our standard's 3%, but also there were some studies this last year that said that we should be using a 2%.
Didn't Randy say that when he was here last time, that
There
somebody said
There was a
that
bunch of studies and they're saying,
Well,
lower it to,
Yes, to
instead of
2%.
stick
Yeah.
bees or whatever,
yeah,
That's-
lower
because
it
right
to
now it's 9.
4.
Yeah, they're saying.
yeah, my threshold's 2%. And
Yeah.
I always thought that was the classic economic injury level.
Yeah.
According to, I forget, USDA or something, buddy like that.
I
So,
absolutely am stressed if I'm over 2%.
yeah,
And I don't mean stress like, oh, I'm a stress, like I'm gonna be emotional beekeeper, but I am saying, oh, I'm over 2%, I better do something.
That's per 300 bees?
Yes.
Or a half a cup?
Okay.
half a cup.
I still have my package size we requeened her and the population is low.
Okay.
Is it okay for me to put off doing that mic check until the population?
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
you haven't had that
And I
skyrocketing,
had
the broad brood population skyrocketing. Yeah.
the other with mic washing on the new package, it's doing great, and I've got a second brood chamber. The queen was in the upper chamber when I inspected, and I didn't want to lay that super with the queen on the grass because I've already lost one.
Yeah.
Don't want to lose another one.
Get
And
yourself
so I didn't inspect the bottom box, but I would imagine you would get your 300 bees from the bottom.
So this is up for debate.
Yeah.
And I had my mentor tell me to pull them from the frame adjacent to the brood and eggs to get the best well-rounded count. The standard is off of the brood frame.
The open brood frame. Yeah.
Off the open brood frame.
So
Now,
you got nurse bees active.
Because I said, what if you're not seeing the queen? And he said, don't pull it from the frame where the brood is on,
Yeah.
pull
And-
next to it.
Randy was very specific with me about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that might be, if you're not good at spotting queens,
that might be the solution.
that's their solution for not washing the queen, I think.
Now I could tell you my hives that I just tested on my hives, and my frames that were adjacent to the brood that had the largest amount of drones, that's what I tested. Yeah.
Would you test like if you had a brood frame, with the bigger cells, cause I do that as part of my IPM.
Mm.
Just shaking those puppies off of there, do you think that would be effective as well, even though it's like usually I put them in either number 3 or number 7 in a 10 frame
Okay.
box?
Yeah.
Do you think that would make sense, or is that?
So that's, you're talking about the drone,
The drone frame.
the drone
Is
frame,
that, yeah, sorry.
the
yeah,
green
that's
board or drone frame.
right. Yeah.
So if it's capped,
Mhm.
then
Well, no.
it's, to me, that's not as beneficial. It's still getting something from open
Yeah.
brood.
Brood.
Okay.
I guess the biggest thing, the largest lesson that I was taught with that is literally the bees that are adjacent from the brood. You know, they've been on the brood, they're not foragers, they kind of have a good, well-rounded account. It's like they're in between,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Any other questions, guys? Yes,
I hear the mentor thing.
yes.
Is there as a new for that you could have a mentor?
We are.
Go to,
So listen,
let me
where are you
go,
at?
Missouri Father.
Missouri Flat? Yeah, there's mentors. One of our mentors who could help you for sure.
so go to our resources page, and I think you have to log in,
Okay.
Looks like an artichoke.
but you can go to the
We've got,
mentors.
on there we have, free mentors, we have, so on there we have free mentors and we have free mentors on there as well. I do suggest the free mentors.
So we signed up to get the extractor, but we haven't heard back yet, so
Yeah, I
we
did.
signed up for Wednesday,
Okay,
for tomorrow.
for tomorrow, extractor for tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, it's already here. Okay, care about it today.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up, but if you want to get raffle tickets,